Everybody, welcome back to World of Warship Blitz. Today we have yet more new ships being introduced into the game shortly after the Kronstadt. And today we have two new ships, more additions to the Pan-Asian lines available through crates. And on the press account I've opened a fair few crates, and here we are. We have the Tier 7 Pan-Asian destroyer, the Gajah, and the Tier 8, the Hsienyang. Now, I'm going to go for the Tier 8 first, so this video will be about the Tier 8, and there'll be a separate video about the Tier 7, and the reason I'm going for the Tier 8 is we're just going to go for the top shelf. So, what I'll do is, with any new ship, seems to be a habit of mine, is we'll do a comparison. Now, hopefully I haven't thoroughly upgraded too many of these ships. No, I haven't, although I may have gone out in a historical camouflage buying spree. So let's go have a look through the Lo Yang. We won't be able to compare it with the Lo Yang or the Le Terrible because those have been upgraded to bits. But anyway, the Kagero. So let's compare it with the standard mainline ships. We'll upgrade it and then we'll do a quick comparison with the Lo Yang. So first of all, let's grab some details. Let's just go and grab some details. So basically, it's a US destroyer, transferred to the Republic of China in 1955. So this is a Tier 8 destroyer that has 2 smoke generators, 2 engine accelerators, and 1 radar. Our first radar-equipped destroyer. Let's go and do some stats comparisons. So blah, 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 when it was built and all the rest of it. Built in 1942, and some details there that you can pause and read if you want. Right, I make no bones that I'm not a channel around historical accuracy. So survivability, so let's just whiz it through. Survivability is 13,900 hit points. And looking at those numbers, we have citadel protection of 5, 10, 6, and 4.5. So if we compare it, I suppose, with the reference destroyer at this tier, so we have the Benson, and it basically is an exact match. It has 100 more hit points, which is neither here nor there. So for those of you Benson drivers, you know what sort of punishment this can take. It's stronger than the Kagero, which has weaker damage reduction and torpedo damage reduction and slightly less hit points. It's not quite as strong as the Z23, although the Hsienyang does have better damage reduction. Obviously, the Tashkent is a completely different ship because basically it's a dedicated Russian gunboat. Far more hit points on that sucker, slightly reduced damage reduction. Anyway, let's go for speed. We won't compare it with the Le Terrible because that's just, well, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Okay, so speed is, unadjusted speed is 36 knots. 36.5, closest, damn it. And compared with 39.5, so it's got 3 knots less speed. Let's go check those other factors. Time to full speed is 8 seconds, maximum traverse speed is 9.2, and turn time is 3.3. So it beats Tashkent in time to full speed, maximum traverse speed, and turn time, so it's far more manoeuvrable. Let's go and check it with our reference. So the Benson has a slightly slower, about a knot slower top speed. It's a second faster to get there, and it looks like it has a faster turn time and a relatively similar maximum traverse speed. So a Benson is a good comparison. A Benson with 1 less gun and radar may be where we end up with this. It's obviously faster than the Kagero and a bit more manoeuvrable as well. And as for this German destroyer, well, equivalent speed, slightly better acceleration, but not much in it, but better agility. So it's quite agile. This seems to be the theme with the Pan-Asian destroyers because, well, if we look at the Fusion and the Hsienyang, they were pretty good performers all round, apart from the fact they had deep water torpedoes, and when you came to a knife fight with a destroyer, yeah, you're pretty helpless. Right, or you just had guns. Okay, let's have a look at the guns. So 127mm, that looks pretty standard. Reload time 3.6 seconds, range 7.8 kilometres. Okay, so I'm just looking at the AP and the HE damage. So what I'll do is I'll compare HE at 330 with 3% fire chance. It's got very high turret traverse speed, but that AP provides very little premium on top, so it's nearly 8 kilometres range. This is unmodified. So, and all these destroyers I'm comparing with, by the way, are unmodified, so they haven't had any bonuses put in. And the reason that I'm comparing them unmodified is I'll run out of blueprints on the press account, and although I can sort that out, that's time and effort, so you get unadjusted. So bearing in mind this is a straight comparison, and that when you get the ship, you'll be able to bump those numbers up. So what we're doing is a relative comparison, right? So 127mm, 4 of them, 3.6 seconds, 8 reload, 7.8 kilometre range, and 330 fire chance, 330, sorry, HE damage. It has slightly longer range, but otherwise it looks to be identical in respect to the Benson. In fact, it has exactly the same stats, apart from the fact that it's 7.8 rather than 7.2 kilometres. Right, the Kagero, well, obviously it beats the Kagero hands down on reload, on range, same damage. Kagero has a slightly higher fire chance, but the turret traverse speed is shocking. If we compare it with the gunboats, that's sort of what you'd expect. The Z23 has a slower reload. It has 5 guns. It has an 8 kilometre range, a much higher HE damage and chance at 380 and 4%, but the AP damage at 550 is astronomical. So, yep, tangle with this at your peril. The Tashkent, faster reload, still better range, slightly better range, better HE damage and fire chance, better AP damage, but nowhere near the Z23. So, yeah, it's not a Z23 so far. Benson equivalent seems to be where we're at. Okay, so the torpedoes, what everybody's been looking for. Now, we'll compare the torpedoes first off with the Kagero, because deep water torpedoes are its main point of difference, and the Kagero is the premier torpedo boat at Tier 8. Well, mainline torpedo boat. Anyway, so torpedoes are 3,500 damage, 63 second reload, 8.7 kilometre range, and 70 knots. Let's go for the Kagero, and it's about the same reload. The Kagero has slightly higher damage at 3,900 rather than 3,550. The Kagero has slightly higher range, and it has the same speed, but the chance of flooding at 24% versus 25% for this Hsienyang means that well, the Hsienyang has a very slight advantage there. But 8.7 kilometres versus 9.6 kilometres, the Kagero is definitely the long-range stealth torping king. Comparing it with the Benson has slightly faster reload again at 57 seconds, but that's only 6 seconds difference. Less damage at 3,200 rather than 3,550. It's 6.9 rather than 8.7, sorry. So much shorter range on the Benson, and slower at 7 knots slower at 62.5 knots, and a slightly less chance of flooding. The Z23 comparison, well, its torpedoes are good, but they reload fast, but they do less damage, they go less distance, they go slower, much less chance of flooding, but a 48 second reload versus a 63 second reload, that's 15 seconds. That's actually pretty good. So the Z23 still looks like it holds the crown for the king of the destroyers at Tier 8. Okay, AA, it has some AA and concealment. Right, 6.12 concealment. Let's go check that out with the rough equivalent, the Benson. It's 0.06 of a kilometre better than the Benson. Not as good as the Kagero, and better than the Z23 or the Tashkent. So the Hsienyang, yeah, has that reasonable concealment at 6.12, which is pretty good. And the AA, well, for a destroyer, we will talk about the AA. The AA is not too bad for a destroyer. Good luck. Right, now you'll just have to bear with me while I go and do some upgrades to the sucker, because basically I need to compare like with like. I meant that one, replace, thank you, resupply. Now, one of the problems that you're going to face with these destroyers is coming up. I'm assuming that my guns, because torpedoes at that sort of range, yeah, that's whatever, we'll load up the equivalent. Didn't want that. Okay, right, we wanted the concealment. So basically I'm going for the turret traverse, the ship traverse, and the concealment, which is the equivalent of what I put on the Low Yang. The historical camo provides main battery firing range +4, torpedo range +4, maximum traverse speed +4, and surface detection -4. Exactly the same as the Low Yang. So we have kitted this out almost exactly the same as the Low Yang after we've done this. I have enough blueprints, but I didn't have enough blueprints to upgrade every destroyer across tier 7 and 8. Right. Oh, here we go. Main battery traverse speed +20, or so I'm going to be going for, my view is the traverse speed, battery traverse speed. You can get that, and I've got that through the guns, through the equipment. It's the maximum speed that I'm after. So it's a good combination. That's my preferred combination, and there we are. Right, the next stage of the video, stage 2 out of 3, is to do a side-by-side comparison with the Low Yang, because the Low Yang is, well, it's pretty much my favourite destroyer. Right, okay, certainly my favourite tier 8 destroyer, seeing as that I couldn't buy the Terrible because it never went on sale before I had to spend the money on Google Play. So let's do some comparisons. So ship hit points, looks like the Benson, the Low Yang has the slight edge for ship hit points. The Hsienyang has the slight edge for speed at 37 knots. But they look roughly equivalent in acceleration. The Low Yang has got much better acceleration and much better turn time, although the maximum traverse speed looks pretty, it is identical. Right, guns, let's just see if it's the same. Pretty close to the same. Just slight range reduction for the Low Yang. So that is 8.16 rather than 8.84. Otherwise, it's all looking pretty similar. Right, okay. Torpedoes. This will definitely be different. You can see that once the torpedoes are fully upgraded, the damage goes up to 4,000, nearly 200. So the Low Yang has 6-second better reload, about 300 or 400, 250 to 300 less damage, less range, because 9.5 versus 9.05 versus 7.18, so about 2 kilometre less range, and 7 knots less speed for its torpedoes. So definitely the Hsienyang has the better torpedoes. Concealment 5.26 versus the Low Yang of 5.16, which still makes the Low Yang, I think, the king of all destroyers at tier 8 for concealment. I could be wrong. The Benson, when it's fully knocked up, may be better than that, but still. That ends phase 2 of the video, the like for like comparison. Phase 3 of the video is for me to take it into battle. Now, if you don't see this, then you know what's happened. I've done so poorly that I'm ashamed of the battle and I've stopped everything, but we're going to take this into a random battle. We'll take the right ship into a random battle. Now, I do have a problem with the commander. The Hsienyang commander's looking pretty good. We will simply assign him and hope that his skills are suitable. So here's I'm pretty sure that he would have the sonar improvement. So yeah, some of those skills won't quite match up because I don't think the ship has sonar. The ship has radar. 1 10-second radar, which, okay, is sort of useful, but I prefer the sonar with the Hsienyang. Right, so here we go, we're in battle. We'll cut through. That destroyer behind us can take C. I'm going to head for B. I'm going to be a responsible citizen. I'm going to head for B. We're accelerating quite nicely up to our maximum speed. Slightly higher than maximum speed because obviously we've got the preheated engines. And we're going to obviously become a fairly early target for the carrier because we're detected by his planes, which is just lovely. And what I'm going to do here is I don't really want to be a victim of his torpedo bombers. Okay then. So he's going to, right. Okay, here's a nice little Cleveland. Let's go and have a look at our, am I going to be detected when I come out? I've got fairly good detection radius. My smoke has expired. And we're just going to give him a bit of a whack. Damn those enemy aircraft. Okay, right. We are detected and we are going to be smacking into this island in short order. So we're going to assume that Cleveland's going to turn in, which is what I'd do. Oh no, he's not. So I'm going to be waiting a minute for my... Okay, well, so... Oh, we've got a Benson here. Okay, it's got pretty comfortable guns, but then again, that's because they feel a lot like the Hsienyang guns. Okay, then, well, I didn't really want that. Okay. Oh, so far, not so good. We'll probably, now, I'm missing the sonar here because some sonar would be really nice around now. Okay, then that's sort of predictable. Come on. Turn out of there. That's it. Okay. Right. I'm going to have to say, as a Hsienyang driver, I'm pretty comfortable with this. Although, I've got to say, I'm not finding the radar as much fun as I found the... oh, here we go. Perfect opportunity. Right. You thought you could get away with that, didn't you? Okay. Not that we're going to be the ones to capitalise on it. So we have a problem. Okay, I've got 2 main battery hits. This Richelieu looks like it could be a bit of a laugh. If no one else is playing with him. Oh, ouch. Well, that made me feel better about myself. This Fiji, not really too keen on playing with him. We've got enough caps. There's no point in me getting sunk. Yeah, thanks, guys. Okay, 2 smoke. I think does the Hsienyang have 3? That's something I'll have to check. Oh, here we go. Here's the Sims. Oh, yeah, that's nice of him. We'll get to capture B again. Not that that was intentional. Let's see if we can fire something over the edge. Oops. Sorry about the paintwork. Okay, the last minute could be... I see. That Fiji's making a habit of being painful. He fired blind over the... He won't be making that mistake again. Okay, right. Okay, we won't be looking too hard at that damage total. No torpedo hits. I seem to have forgotten that my ship has torpedoes. Of course, there's no point in using them against that. So they are incredibly long-range torpedoes because they'd make it all the way to the other side of that island. Okay, well, it's capable enough in destroyer gun combat, just don't make any mistakes. So, what can I say about it? It's very comfortable to drive, actually. I quite like it. It's very much like the Hsienyang. The radar's a nice touch, but which means that if someone smokes up at a distance, you can keep the gun battle going. But I've got to say that I do miss the sonar. Obviously, not a great score because more playing for position than playing for kills there. With 3 capture points, so keeping us in the game rather than shooting things up. And denying that Sims any sort of respite. Let's go do a final quick comparison to wrap up the video. Let's go do an armory check between the Hsienyang and the Hsienyang. So the armory check is for the details. So you've got 2 engine accelerator 1s, 2 smoke generator 1s, and 1 radar 1. And that radar 1 is radar for 10 seconds, detecting all hostile ships within 7.2 kilometers. Cooldown time 120 seconds. Well, seeing as you've only got 1 of it, that cooldown down is not relevant. But bearing in mind that with this concealment, if you're detected, it's guaranteed that if you're detected, anything is within that 7.2 kilometers. It could be a great opening gambit at the start of a game. Of course, if you're detected, because you've probably got the best detection apart from anything from a Hsienyang, well, something else must have gone wrong. Let's do that final check on the Hsienyang. Bit of a rambling video, sorry about that, guys. No, only 2 smoke generators in the Hsienyang. It's got those 2 sonar though. With the captain skills boostable to the 3 sonar. Anyway, I hope you found that educational. That is the Tier 8 Hsienyang, which will be the mainline Pan-Asian destroyer once the line becomes fully available, and this is available unfortunately through crates. So it's a bit of a pity there's not a Blitz for it, but hey, that's the way it's working, but eventually it will become something you can grind out. Anyway, hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.